How are they self-employed when you're signed exclusively?
Right.
You can't work for nobody else.
It's a monopoly.
Yeah, they tell you when and where you'll work. They tell you who you'll work. They can totally control your life.
And you're an independent contractor.
And yet they call you an independent contractor. How has the government allowed them to get away with that for 35 to 40 years?
It's not going to be easy for the WWE to thread the needle on this. They are pushing ahead with this event, despite the serious concerns of some of their own wrestlers and their own fan base.
They're putting their lives on the line, or their health on the line, their family life on the line all the time. They've made Vince a billionaire. And then the fact that he's still being so heavy-handed about their ability to make a simple buck on Cameo just struck me as so absurd and ridiculous and wrong.
Do you have a reason why these people would be dying under the age of 45?
Why don't you ask yourself that question? I mean, why are you indicating that's my responsibility? These people are dead because...
I'm asking you if it's in any way, shape, or form falls on your shoulders.
I would accept no responsibility whatsoever for their untimely deaths, none whatsoever. As far as, and you've got that little look on your face like, geez, Vince, how can you possibly say that?
Well, but none whatsoever. I mean, they wrestled for you. They were part of your organization. They worked a couple of hundred nights a year for you.
Vince McMahon has always had this mentality about treating wrestlers like circus animals. All these wrestlers that have broke their backs making this living for years end up with nothing when it's over. And then they sort of take you out back and they put a slug in the back of your head and dump you out. And that's the life of a professional wrestler.
They still go with, here's your plane ticket, you're flying to Detroit, you're working Detroit, Chicago, Cape Girardeau, and St. Louis. So you rent your car in Detroit, you drop it off in St. Louis, you got to find your hotel rooms, you got to get a car that's got a good rate for the drop-off, all this stuff. And those are your expenses and your responsibility to do that. And that's another thing that I think people just are you kidding me? You really have to do that?
That's nuts.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the biggest difference.
That's a pretty big difference.
Business Hulk here is a billionaire on the broken backs of his non-employees. The very least he can do is show the same dedication to wrestlers that they have shown to his company.
If I go down as someone who stood up for themselves and, so be it. But I'm still thankful, and I'm not angry. I'm just heartbroken. Because doing this, being a wrestler is all I ever wanted to do.
I was working on my video about what makes Brock Lesnar matches so special until I saw what happened to Zelina Vega, and I immediately stopped because I knew I had to make this video. WWE announced that they released her. It seemed extremely random at the time. People just assumed that she asked for her release. But then, she tweeted last night saying that she supports unionization. With those 3 words, it told a deeper story about the bigger issue that lies within WWE. This year has been a disaster for employees under the company. It's gotten to the point where it's difficult to even support WWE anymore. As you know, I've been a huge fan of WWE my entire life, watching Raw and SmackDown ever since I was a young child. While I always will love the sport, I can no longer support Vince McMahon and the way he handles business. Even before this year, John Oliver's special on HBO about what WWE does really opened my eyes. Wrestlers are not employees for the company. This means Vince McMahon hires them as contractors. The result of that is a lack of health insurance and other benefits that every other sport pays for their employees, like traveling expenses. The fact that WWE wrestlers are forced to pay for their hotel and rental car is insane. Vince McMahon's contractors put their body on the line for the WWE, and the least he could do is pay for their health insurance. In an interview, Alexa Bliss explained that WWE does pay for injuries that happen in the ring, but what about the long-term effects that come from wrestling? Just because it doesn't happen in a WWE ring doesn't mean that the injuries weren't caused from the months and years of physical pain. After that special with John Oliver came out, nothing really happened. Wrestling fans were upset about it for a few days, a couple tweets came out here and there, but nothing else came out of it. I even forgot about it myself, just moving past it. Fast forward to a year later, and we get to the day when WWE fired 30 employees and contractors. Names like EC3, Rusev, Kurt Angle, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows, and a few dozen more people were released in the middle of a pandemic. WWE fired them in a time where many other wrestling promotions were closed. In fact, a lot of companies were downsizing. You'd assume that WWE was doing the same thing, but no. They had $500 million in cash that they were sitting on. Vince McMahon is even having one of the most profitable years of all time despite these circumstances. It is heartless that he fired all those names in a time where there was so much uncertainty. You have to be cold-blooded to do such a thing. Rusev even had a story to tell about this, explaining how a bunch of wrestlers were gathering together in the back in order to unionize the wrestlers, making them official employees with benefits. WWE discovered this and he claims that they fired him because of it to prove a point. They made an example out of Miro. If any other wrestlers wanted to talk about wanting basic rights as an employee, they would be fired. And this doesn't seem far-fetched at all. It seems like something Vince McMahon would have done. After all this news came out, similar to the last event, nothing happened. People tweeted about how ruthless Vince McMahon was as an owner of his company, and that's about it. A week later, everybody forgot about it. In just a few months, though, we had another issue that popped up. Vince McMahon found out that his talent was making money on other platforms like Twitch and Cameo. You would think that these wrestlers wanted to make some extra side cash to pay for some of these expenses like the health insurance, but no, Vince McMahon's new executives will not allow this to happen. WWE is forcing all of them to shut down their accounts because they claim that they own their names, yet they are contractors. The talent reportedly have the legal rights to continue their side hustles since they are contractors, but Vince does not care. If you don't follow the boss's rules, you will either get suspended or fired. And that's just crazy in my opinion. It's not right. Zelina Vega is the first victim of this, and I see it happening to Paige very soon because Vince McMahon does not want her to use her Twitch. Unlike the other horrible things WWE has done, I don't think I can just sit around and do nothing. I will continue to criticize WWE's business practices. I can no longer support the company. I think Vince McMahon is a bad boss who has no empathy for his wrestlers. A former Democratic presidential candidate in Andrew Yang has made it his mission to expose and fix this. Yang just wants wrestlers to be treated fairly as employees with full benefits. Andrew cannot be the only one who wants to make a difference. Us wrestling fans can't just sit around acting like everything is fine. We have the power to do something about it, whether that's creating a hashtag about WWE unionization or simply boycotting the product by not watching. And that isn't a very difficult task because the product isn't that good anyways. Vince McMahon has gotten away with this for far too long. It is time we do something about it. And that is it for the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Pllana, and I'll see you all on the next video.
And I got this soul.